안녕하세요. You're going to learn how to make gerund phrase using the modifier endings in this video. There are other gerund forms in Korean. You will learn them later. Let's talk about one of the ways using the dependent noun got in this lesson. Let's go. Let's learn about phrase. Let's learn how to translate a phrase with gerund. Let's take a look at the English sentence first. Learning Korean language is fun. The entire learning Korean language part is used as a subject in this English sentence as if it is a noun. I imagine speaking Korean fluently. The entire speaking Korean fluently part is used as an object in this sentence as if it is also a noun. Learning and speaking here are called a gerund in English grammar. Yes, we are going to learn how to translate this gerund phrase. Let's take a look at the definition of a gerund. A gerund is a noun formed from a verb which refers to an action, process, or state. A gerund is a noun formed from a verb, not an adjective in English. But we are not learning about a gerund here actually. There is no concept of gerund in Korean. We are learning how to turn a verb or an adjective into a noun form so that you can use it when you translate a gerund in English. We guess you're gonna use this mostly to a verb, but you should be able to turn an adjective into a noun form too in case you want to make a sentence like being pretty is not a privilege. So we are learning that too. Koreans use this gerund phrase quite often as a subject, object, and complement. Of course, it's not called a gerund or gerund phrase in Korean grammar. Anyway, you can use this so-called gerund phrase in substitution for any noun in Korean. Then how to turn a Korean verb into a noun form. got. You add got sound to the stem of a verb or adjective. When did we use this got sound? Yes, we used this to refer to a thing without using its name and as a representative noun for a thing. In addition to that, this got also turns a verb and adjective into a noun form. Got is also a noun itself. Because of the fact that this got is also a noun and it's used to refer to a thing, when this got sound is added to the stem of a verb or adjective, it turns a verb or adjective into a noun. Pretty simple, isn't it? There's one more thing that is even more interesting. Listen carefully. When you turn a verb into a noun form, you add not only got sound, but also 는 sound to the stem. So stem plus 는 got. Hold on for a moment. Haven't you seen something like this before? This is exactly the same as the basic rule for a verb clause modifier in the present simple tense, isn't it? Yes, it is. What does it tell you? We can make a verb clause modifier which makes the same translation that the gerund phrase learning Korean language makes in Korean. Learning Korean language. Using a gerund, learning turns a phrase into a noun, right? But there is no actual noun in it. So you regard a gerund, learning, as a noun in English. But we need an actual noun to show that this phrase is used as a noun because there is no concept of a gerund in Korean, as we told you earlier. That's why you bring a representative noun, got. And this noun, got, takes all the meaning of learning Korean language part has. Again, this dependent noun, got, takes all the meaning of the entire phrase learning Korean language part has. So, in a way, it looks like learning Korean language part modifies an invisible noun which takes the meaning of the entire phrase. Do you understand? Now you understand why the phrase learning Korean language used the same ending that we used for a verb clause modifier in the present simple tense, right? Only difference is you can change the tense in a verb clause modifier. The same thing applies to the second example. Speaking Korean fluently. In order to translate this phrase, you need to add 는 것 to the stem of the verb speak. And it's also going to be like translating I imagine the thing which is speaking Korean fluently. Of course, you don't talk like this in English. We are just trying to help you understand the structure of the Korean phrase, speaking Korean fluently. Okay? Anyway, the thing which is speaking Korean fluently will make the same translation that the phrase speaking Korean fluently makes because you add 는 to the stem of the verb speak and use a representative noun cut for the modified noun the thing. The reason why the phrase speaking Korean fluently needs one more extra noun in Korean is because there is no concept of gerund in Korean. Therefore, we need an extra noun to take all the meaning of the entire phrase speaking Korean fluently. As we always say, we are not saying that you should take these two steps to turn a verb or adjective into a noun. But what we explained here will help you understand the reason why you use the same ending that you use for a verb clause modifier in the present simple tense for a gerund phrase. If you don't want to understand this, please just memorize the ending. It's okay. Then let's see how to turn an adjective into a noun. As you did to a verb, you use the same rule that you used for an adjective clause modifier in the present simple tense. No need to explain about this then. Let's actually make a sentence with a gerund phrase. Let's take a look at the English sentence first. Learning Korean language is very fun. Now it's nothing for you to make a sentence like this in Korean, right? Let's do it together though. Let's think about the sentence structure first. Learning Korean language part is a gerund phrase in this English sentence. And it's used as a subject as if the whole phrase is a noun. Is just be verb, which we don't need in Korean. Very is an adverb which modifies the adjective fun. And the adjective fun is going to be a predicative part in Korean. And we need to rearrange the words in the phrase learning Korean language too, as we did for a clause. The gerund learning is used as a noun, but it still has the attribute of a verb. Plus, it is still going to be a verb in Korean because we are going to use another noun, got, which takes all the meaning of the phrase. So, Korean language is an object of the gerund learning. So, let's position Korean language first and position the gerund learning right after it. Korean language learning. Perfect. And then put the adverb very right in front of the adjective fun. That's it. Very simple. Korean language learning very fun. Korean language is 한국말. 한국말. You can use 한국어 too. Sound of 한국어 has a Chinese origin. We think 한국말 sounds cuter than 한국어. So let's just use 한국말. It's an object of the gerund learning. So you can add the object particle 을. 한국말을. More naturally, 한국말을. 한국말을. Is there anyone who still doesn't know why it sounds like this? Whenever you see the consonant, the round empty sound consonant, you should think that it takes the sound of the final consonant in the formal block. Always. So, 을 has consonant as an initial. Therefore, it takes the final sound 르 from the 말 block of 한국말. So, 말 becomes 마 and 을 becomes 를. 한국말을. 한국말을. Learning. It's a gerund in English, but when you're thinking about putting a gerund in your Korean sentence, you should think that you add an extra noun to turn the entire phrase into a noun form. To learn is originally a verb, and the basic form of it is 배우다. 배우다 in Korean. The stem is 배우. We need to add 는 것 to turn it into a noun form. 배우는 것. 배우는 것. Korean language learning. 한국말을 배우는 것. 한국말을 배우는 것. As we told you several times, this dependent noun 것 takes all the meaning of the entire phrase. Next thing we're going to talk about is quite important. Please listen carefully. Since the entire learning Korean language part is used as a subject, you can add a subject particle or auxiliary particle at the end of the phrase. Do you clearly understand the usages of a subject particle and auxiliary particle now? We talked about it a lot, but maybe we should talk about it one more time, all in good time. Anyway, let's add a subject particle 이. 한국말을 배우는 것이. More naturally, 한국말을 배우는 것이. Because the final s consonant of the 것 block moves up to the 이응, consonant to the next block, 이. So it becomes 것이 instead of 것이. We're not going to mention about this pronunciation rule anymore because you know all this already. We'll explain when we find something new. Very, 아주, or you can use 되게, which is used in spoken Korean quite often. Fun, it's an adjective. The basic form of this adjective is 재미있다. 재미있다. 재미 is a noun which means fun. 있다 means exist. Fun exists. So 재미있다 becomes an adjective fun. The stem is 재미있. It sound kind of looks like the past tense indicator, but it's not. You know that. It's just the stem of the predicate 있다. The sentence is in the present simple tense, so you just need to add 어요 sound to the stem 재미있. 재미있어요. 재미있어요. Korean language learning. 한국말을 배우는 것이 very, 아주, fun, 재미있어요. 한국말을 배우는 것이 아주 재미있어요. 한국말을 배우는 것이 아주 재미있어요. Do you want to know how it sounds like with the subject particle 이? Well, it sounds just fine. It sounds like this is just an answer to a question, what is the most fun part staying in Korea? 한국말을 배우는 것이 아주 재미있어요. Learning Korean language is very fun. Do you remember the colloquial form of a pronoun plus a particle that we learned in lesson 5? For example, the pronoun it, 그것, plus the subject particle 이 is 그것이, 그것이. But you can combine 것 and 이 sound together and make 개 sound. So it becomes 그개, 그개. And 그게 contains the subject particle in it. The same thing applies to 한국말을 배우는 것이. 것이, 것 plus 이. 것 plus 이 becomes 개. So 한국말을 배우는 게 sounds perfect too. When you actually speak Korean, most of the time it is okay even if you forget to add the object particles. Sometimes you can forget a subject or auxiliary particle too, but if you have to forget at least one particle, please forget an object particle first, because in many cases, it sounds alright without object particles, besides of the fact that Koreans don't really mention the subject when they speak. But we, of course, hope that you practice making a full sentence with proper particles at least for now. You can learn colloquial way of Korean when you are fluent enough to have a small talk with the natives. Anyway, let's get rid of the object particle 을 from 한국말. 한국말 배우는 게 아주 재미있어요. 한국말 배우는 게 아주 재미있어요. Perfect. Then let's add the auxiliary particle 은 to the subject. 한국말을 배우는 것. 은. 한국말을 배우는 것은 아주 재미있어요. 한국말을 배우는 것은 아주 재미있어요. Yes, this auxiliary particle, 은, still gives the nuance of comparing. Like, learning Korean is fun, but others are not fun. But you should know that this auxiliary particle is also used to indicate a topic of the sentence and something which is already mentioned in the previous sentences, and to emphasize a predicated part rather than a subject. Anyway, if someone say, 한국말 배우는 것은 아주 재미있어요. 한국말 배우는 것은 아주 재미있어요. To me, I would think school is boring, but learning Korean is fun. That's great. Now you understand the nuance? We can shorten 것 plus 은 too, as 그것은 becomes 그건. You can use 건 instead of 것은. 한국말 배우는 건 아주 재미있어요. If this particle thing gives you a headache, just don't add a particle. 한국말 배우는 것 or 거 되게 재미있어요. I would use 거 instead of 것 when I speak because it's simpler. 한국말 배우는 거 되게 재미있어요. 한국말 배우는 거 되게 재미있어요. All the sentences on this page are correct. You can choose anyone which helps you learn Korean quicker, but you must have your own reason to use it and consistency. I imagine speaking Korean fluently every day. Let's take a look at each element in the English sentence. I is the subject of the entire sentence. Imagine is the main verb and it takes an object. Speaking Korean fluently is a gerund phrase. It works like a noun and the entire phrase is an object of the main verb, imagine. Maybe we can put the object particle 을 or 를 at the end of it later. We'll see. Every day is not a part of the gerund phrase. We can say that because we can put it anywhere in the sentence. Let's put the words in the right position then. Subject I comes first. And let's put every day right after the subject because it's a time-related word. The entire gerund phrase, speaking Korean fluently, works like an object of the verb imagine. So let's put it right before the verb imagine. Before that, we need to rearrange the words in the gerund phrase too. Korean, which means Korean language, works like an object of the gerund speaking. And the adverb fluently modifies the gerund speaking. A modifier comes right before the word that is modified in Korean. Therefore, it's going to be Korean fluently speaking. Then the verb imagine comes at the end of the sentence. I, every day, Korean fluently speaking, imagine. You never get used to this structure, are you? We understand. I, 저는. How about 제가? Well, of course you can use it, just it would sound like it is me who imagines. Every day, 매일. Korean fluently speaking. Korean is 한국말. You can add the object particle 을 because Korean is the object of the gerund speaking. 한국말을. 한국말을. Fluently. We learned how to turn a basic form of an adjective into an adverb. The basic form of the adjective fluent is 유창하다. 유창하다. 유창하 is the stem. The last letter of the stem, 하, doesn't have a final consonant. So if you add a final n consonant to it, it will become an adjective modifier, 유창한, 유창한. If you add 개 sound to the stem, it will become an adverb, 유창하게, 유창하게. So fluently is 유창하게, 유창하게. Speaking, the basic form of the verb speak is 말하다. The stem is 말하. In order to turn it into a noun, we need to add 는 것 to the stem. 말하는 것. 말하는 것. But there's one more thing you should know. We've seen something like this before a couple of times and we explained it good, but it will take a while for you to pick this up completely. So please listen carefully. 한국말 has 말 sound at the end of it, which means a speech or a language. 한국어 also has 어 sound, which means a speech or a language from Chinese character. The verb speak, 말하다, is a noun plus 하다 verb, which consists of a noun, 말, which means a speech or a language, and 하다. Because of the fact that both the object 한국말 and the verb 말하다 have the same word, which means a speech or a language, you need to get rid of one 말 sound from the verb 말하다 and just use 하다 sound, which means a verb do. Got it? We've seen something like this before, right? So you add 는 것 to the remained stem 하. 하는 것. 하는 것 is enough instead of 말하는 것. Korean fluently speaking. 한국말을 유창하게 하는 것. 한국말을 유창하게 하는 것. It sounds more natural, okay? Of course, everybody would understand even though you use the original full version, 말하는 것, though. Anyway, this entire phrase is the object of the verb imagine. So you can put the object particle 을, 한국말을 유창하게 하는 것을, okay? 한국말을 유창하게 하는 것을 imagine. The basic form of the verb imagine is 상상하다. 상상하다. It's in the present simple tense, so it becomes 상상해요. 상상해요. I every day. 저는 매일. Korean fluently speaking. 한국말을 유창하게 하는 것을 imagine. 상상해요. 저는 매일 한국말을 유창하게 하는 것을 상상해요. We hope you do. You can get rid of the object particle from Korean, 한국말, and shorten the 것 plus 을 part into 걸. 저는 매일 한국말 유창하게 하는 걸 상상해요. 저는 매일 한국말 유창하게 하는 걸 상상해요. 저는 매일 한국말 유창하게 하는 걸 상상해요. If you cannot think of any particle, you can just use the colloquial form of 것, which is 거, without the final 시옷. 저는 매일 한국말 유창하게 하는 거 상상해요. 저는 매일 한국말 유창하게 하는 거 상상해요. It will sound just fine when you speak. As we told you, you can use any sentence on this page, but we still hope you guys practice adding proper particles when you make sentences, at least for now. Even though you choose one particular way of saying, you should understand why it became like that with your own logic in your head and use the same logic consistently when you make a sentence in the same structure. Okay, this is the end of lesson 6 part 3. lesson 6 part 4에서 만나요. See you in lesson 6 part 4. 안녕히 계세요. Okay, this is the end of YouTube version lesson 6 part 8. You're going to learn how to make the objective clauses in Korean in the next video. 그럼 다음 비디오에서 만나요. 안녕히 계세요.